All righty. Admit there are 31 at this moment in time. Here they come.
Excellent.
Wow, they're on time. Yay. That's freaking brilliant. I love it.
Isn't it?
I'm bringing him in muted. So
Hey, y'all. Hey, everyone. So glad you're here. Yay. So great. I'm actually doing it live on Facebook simultaneously. So how fun is that?
let's be shaky.
Hey, everyone. How are you? Good to see you as you all come in. I wanted to introduce you to a couple of our amazing team members. For those of you, well, I'm going to be working with a couple of you today. So I wanted to make sure that that I could see your beautiful faces, because it's easier for me to choose who I'm going to work with when I can see what's going on with you, since I am a beautiful example of a crazy unicorn holographics here. So and the other thing is that I really want you to see each other, because part of being able to activate each other and to exponentiate results in any workshop is actually being able to see each other. And so many people these days have independence disease. In other words, I don't need anybody, or I do need somebody, but I don't want anyone to see me. So you have to guess that I need you. So so take a look around, because the people here today, right now, just take a look around at everyone in Brady Bunch style and look at who's on your team today. These people are all on your team. They decided to show themselves and be here, and even there's some people that don't know that they want to be here, but they can feel what we're doing. So there are those people too. I want to introduce Diane. Diane, say hi, girl.
Hi, everybody. So
Diane is actually our program manager for the Thriving Operating System. And I want to introduce JC, AKA Jennifer Conaway, who is on our team in project management. And she's done all of our programs. And actually, Miss Diane has done everything up till Thriving Operating System too, right before flight school. Now, you can imagine why we don't call JC Jennifer. That would just be confusing. So, all right, you guys, what I'd love right now, if you tap into the comment field, your word for the day. Where are you? What are you up to? What is happening? For those of you that are on the Facebook Live right now, I'm going to get Diane or JC to go over to Wide Awakening Facebook and just put in the Zoom links in case everyone wants to come over to the Zoom, so I can work with them actually live. All right, you guys.
Done.
Awesome.
Well, not done yet, but it will be done in a minute.
Oh my gosh, great words. Yummy possibilities. So fantastic. And if you can type in where you are in the world today, also in the comment field, where are you in the world? All right. So guys, here's what we're doing today. First of all, we're talking about the idea of break free. It's actually interesting because it's not actually breaking free. We're actually resting into the freedom that already exists that you've been pinching off. So freedom is actually yours. Freedom is yours for the having, for the experiencing. And interestingly enough, we're going to learn about a way that nobody and nothing can take away your freedom. Is anyone interested in not having nothing and nobody taking away their freedom? Yay! We're going to do that. Okay. The second thing is, how old am I? 3? The second thing is, I want to also go through, there's about 4 things I want to touch on. One is we're going to do a little, like a Cosmo quiz. We're going to do a little quiz at the beginning about, and I want you to get really clear because most people don't even know that they're in survival modes. We're going to do a quiz about surviving better, and actually thriving. And we're going to be here for about another hour and 20 minutes. Okay. So I want to make sure that you know exactly which category that you fit in order to continue on with our workshop today. Surviving better, or thriving. Most people don't even know the distinction. They think everybody else is like them. So we're going to get an idea of that. Because you can't live in overflow unless you know where you're starting. Okay. All right. Next, we're going to talk about why people struggle, why they resist, and why so many people get on with it for a week or 2 days, but then all of a sudden everything falls away, goes to hell in a handbasket. So where do we go? What happens to us? Right. And then we're going to talk about a little, well, I would like to share a personal story of that with me, that I had no idea that I was even struggling. I thought it was just the way it was. And then what we're going to do, so this is really important, we're going to talk about the end of needing to continue to try, transcending survival habits, how to end the need to fix yourself, and how to create more space for the miraculous to come to you. Again, would there be anyone of you, I'm just looking at your gorgeous faces, does anyone want to leave more space for miracles? Anyone? Is that a good thing? Yeah, I know. Seriously, right? Me too. And usually even when I do these workshops, I even see things more deeply. So trust me, I'm right with you. Okay. All right. Next, we're going to talk about fast tracking, if you see me looking down, it's because I'm actually looking at my notes, because I want to make sure we talk about every single thing that we're up to in order to complete the intent of this workshop. So fast tracking your dreams. So we're going to talk about distraction and independence disease. But we're going to talk also about how we exponentiate our ability to be in flow, how to exponentiate it in ways that you probably hadn't thought. And the final thing that I think is really cool under the topic of fast tracking, getting on with your dreams, is how to transmute. Just nod your head if you know that you probably have some belief systems that are suboptimal. Just nod your head if you know you do. Or nod your head if you know that you have a few repeating patterns that you would prefer not to experience. Anyone have any repeat? Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay, cool. So that's why we're going to talk about how to exponentiate your flow and how to transmute thousands of belief systems at a time. If I have the opportunity to work with you, we'll actually look at a whole cascade of belief systems with at least one person today. So 1 or 2 people, maybe 3, we'll be able to work with today who are on the Zoom link. If you're watching on Facebook, I will not be able to go live with you, only if you're on Zoom, okay? But to be able to have a conversation. And if you're on Facebook, the link is on the Facebook page. Okay. So the last thing, because I promised yesterday, so I wanted to fulfill on my promise when we did a Facebook Live on facebook.com/Wide Awakening, which you've got one more to go tomorrow. I talked a little bit about drama and the emotional roller coaster that happens when you're moving forward with the reason you want to be alive. As you move forward with the reason you were born, what happens is if you don't have the operating system to thrive, what happens, so see if this clicks for you, because it's one of their surviving better characteristics. And actually it'd be really interesting for me to see a show of hands on this. How many people actually understand what I'm talking about when I say In survival, what happens when you have an aha, or when you have a so-called breakthrough, or when you have a realization, or you move to a new level, there's a lot of resistance leading up to it, because it's almost like your ego is so stubborn, you need enough pain that you finally get the cosmic 2x4, that finally you can get to the other side. So how many people relate to this? This has happened to you, and maybe sometimes it still does. Okay, cool. So, and by the way, it really helps me when we get to interact that way, because sometimes I'm presuming, you know, I work with lots of people and I get lots of feedback. Sometimes I presume it's like, oh, you know, this is just true, but it isn't actually until we get to commune together that I go, oh yeah, the majority of people actually really do feel that way. So that is drama. Drama, excess drama is associated with survival. It's a surviving experience, because in thriving, it's not like you don't have contrast. So listen closely. In thriving, it's not like you don't have contrast, which is the entire reason for everything we're doing here in this workshop. We want to get to a place where you're living in overflow. We're not going to do it in an hour and a half. Hey, maybe that's the goal, right? Let's aim eventually. Let's make that my 5-year goal. We could do the whole thing in an hour and a half. It's possible if you could dream it, you know, it could be. So, but what we're going to do today is open doorways of possibility that you didn't see before. Okay. Hopefully that's of great assistance, because if you couldn't see it, you actually can't have it. If you didn't even know exactly, Joan, it is worth dancing about. Trust me. So, yay. So in thriving, you are in such a state of fluidity, okay, that what happens is you're at a, you have such a broader perspective on your life. Your perspective on life is more like how your greater wisdom sees your life. And that frequency that you live at, in other words, the frequency of beingness, the state of being that you're in, and the embodied state of your greater wisdom's already knowing. And you'll hear me say, I didn't say beliefs. It's not your beliefs. It's the embodied state of your greater knowing is so profoundly different from someone who's in survival mode, trying really hard. Everything looks hard from that frequency. And when you go into a program and the frequency of the program is, we got to go into your stuff and excavate it. That's the purpose of the program. We got to fix you. What happens is you never get to the higher frequency, or you do, but it's at the end of the program. What we do in our programs and Agents of Awakening and the community we just started, and everything we do, is we start with, let's remind you of who you really are. Come from that frequency until such time as it's fully embodied, because when you fully embodied it, what happens is your perception on all the stuff that you thought was keeping you from living the life you love, your perception on all that stuff that you thought was keeping you actually entirely shifts. So when you can come from your higher, as an automatic way of being, go direct with consciousness and come from your higher consciousness's understanding of life before you run after all of the things that you think are stopping you, you actually already are available for transmuting thousands of things at a time. And we're actually going to have a little experience of doing that today. So, yeah. So I guess there, you know, I mean, I like getting rid of hundreds of beliefs that are stopping me at a time. I don't know about you guys, but I do. I mean, it's kind of fun. So, but imagine if you lived your whole life that way. And it's a journey, but first you have to know that that journey is transcendent of the way that most people live. Most people live based on all that we've learned from psychology and therapy and all that kind of stuff. And there's nothing wrong with it, because before Freud and Jung and all the people that came before them, what we were doing is we were basically thinking that the way people are and all their pain and all the beliefs they have are just the way they are. It's just their personality. Some people suffer, some people don't. Some people have a great life, some people don't. That's just the way it is. Oh, well. So yay for people who did the analysis about the way we think. The original thinking on that is that you have to go in and analyze why someone thinks the way they think. And if you can figure out why, the person will be free. But if you spend all your time figuring out why you're broken, you're putting a lot of attention on your brokenness, and you actually don't get on to learn how to thrive. You just have a really great understanding of how come you're not, and it brings your mind to peace. Do you get the difference? Okay, we don't want to, that's not what I literally, it didn't make sense to me. I started questioning everything. I studied social psychology in university, and what I was hearing didn't make sense. And I thought, there has to be another way. It can't be that we have to spend lifetimes working on karma and analyzing the past until we're finally free. How many lifetimes is that? I mean, that I can't imagine that God put us on earth to do that, that creation and, thought we were a good idea. So we could run around trying to finally get to the place where we could create upon a creation and flow. How about we just get to the place where we can create upon creation and flow? And then from that perspective, letting go of all the beliefs that don't match us becomes a no-brainer. So does everyone hear how can you kind of hear how that's a philosophy shift? That's like an entirely different way of thinking. And it is unusual in this world. Okay. So it takes a little getting used to, but I'll tell you, it is so much faster. So, and if you know anything about me, I'm like a type A. So that's just me. So, and it's all, just in case you guys were wondering, it's all without spiritually bypassing. There's no spiritual bypass here. It's just a different way of getting at more of the stuff that stops you. And the funny thing is, the end product is already, you're already on the road to living the life that you were designed for, instead of having to excavate all that stuff before you get to it. Because most people think, if I just got rid of my fears, I just got rid of those beliefs, I could just, then I could get on with it. No. Like, what if you didn't have to do that? Seriously, some of you, I really feel like I want to emphasize that. What if you actually didn't have to do that? What if you could actually just get on with getting on with it, and in the process, transmute the old? Okay. So wanted to set the context. And Diane, I'm going to rely on you to make sure you bring up some of the questions that people have later when I'm ready for answering. So if you have questions, you guys, make sure that you put them into the chat. If you're on Facebook, I won't be seeing those unless Diane is a raving, ridiculous genius, goes into Facebook and looks and sees if you have any questions.
Oh,
If you are on, thanks, girl. If you are on Facebook watching this, we are on Zoom live right now, and you're going to hear people's voices, and they will be the voices of the people that are on Zoom. I can't work with you directly, but we can pick up your questions. If you know there is someone in your life right now, you can share this Zoom with anyone you want. You know where we're headed now. So this is for people that are struggling, that know they have dreams that they need to get to, and they're not doing it as quickly as they think they should. They've got divine procrastination or divine frustration, and they're ready to just transcend that. They're so over the drama, the roller coaster. So if you know anyone like that, make sure you send them the Zoom link right now and get them over here. If you're on Facebook, have fun. We're going to be another hour and 10 minutes. So you're going to be on Facebook an awful long time. All right. So guys, yeah, divine procrastination. I believe I just put that in our one of our emails. Divine procrastination is this. Procrastination is when you actually feel resistant. Well, you guys type in, what do you think procrastination actually is? What is procrastination to you? What do you think it is? What are you doing when you're procrastinating? You're judging that it should be faster. You're wishing that it would go the way you want it to go. Your personality imagines how it ought to be. And then what happens is you throw a hissy fit because it's not going the way you imagine or the way your personality had it in its mind. And it's like, that's so annoying if you carry it to a dramatic degree. If you're just in procrastination, it just means you're putting something off. Perceptively, that's what you think. You're putting something off. But metaphysically speaking, it has nothing to do with that. This is one of the reasons people struggle. Procrastination is a concept that sounds it could be a little judgy, that comes from the struggle paradigm. People who struggle perceive that they procrastinate. I'm going to say that again. People that struggle perceive that they procrastinate. Okay. But divine procrastination tells you what's really going on. It says that if you are made mostly of metaphysical particles and you're actually an expression, a dream of consciousness, you are the idea of all that is, that came to live in a human civilization, dancing with other dreams of consciousness, to expand upon what was, to take contrast and imagine new things forward. You're a creator. And you're also mostly formed a metaphysical part of 99.39% of you is actually formed of the space between the atoms, the wave particles, the quarks, and not the actual three-dimensional particles that you could see under any kind of microscope. So if you're mostly formed of that, that means, and you have 75 trillion cells picking up on photon packages of light and waveforms and all sorts of stuff that are from your greater wisdom, the vaster part of you, and you're in flow with the divine. What that means is that when you're resisting divine flow, when you're actually resisting, when you're swimming upriver to all that which consciousness has put before you, when you're trying to do it your way, when you're trying to stay safe, right? The three things: stay safe, be under control, and predict the outcome. When you're trying to do those things, you're basically trying to prevent the past from happening again. And if you're trying to prevent the past from happening again, you've just confined the universe. You've literally said, well, don't give me those wide open, amazing or better answers that are going to put me in the miracle zone. As long as your answers don't look like anything from the past, I will accept them. Divine procrastination is when you're putting something off unknowingly because you're out of alignment with the future trajectory that you've set yourself on. When you haven't expanded to the frequency of that idea or the things you need to do in order to get that idea happening, when your frequency isn't there and you're committed to patterns and haven't quite transmuted them, the universe will never have you manifest that which you imagine, because it loves you so much. It knows that you'll sabotage the living daylights out of it from the place that you're currently at. So divine procrastination is consciousness holding you in its arms and saying, no, not yet. You got a little ways to go before this is really going to rock and roll. Let's move your free. Let's get out of the way of consciousness just a little bit more. Does that make sense, you guys? Let's get the frequency up. If you have any questions. Yes, Carol. Yep, absolutely. Space between the cells has been, yep. Yeah, it's actually between the atoms because the cells are made up of atoms. So it's even smaller than that. Anything you could see with a microscope is still 3D, right? So it's that metaphysical space, meaning the non-physical space, the beyond physical space, more accurately. All right. And Brian, you nailed it. Divine procrastination is basically you're not aligned with the thing that you're aiming for anyways. And the cool thing is that might not even be in the highest for your soul anywho. So sometimes the universe has something better waiting for you. And the only reason you have that, now listen closely, you guys, because this is a big one. The only reason that you have that idea or that dream in your mind, it didn't come from your greater wisdom. It actually came from your ego wanting to control, wanting to predict the outcome, and wanting to stay safe. So you got an idea. It's like, I really want an apartment out of this neighborhood. Well, okay. Right? Or not next to this neighbor. I don't like them. Right? So that is what I mean by that concept. So as we dive in together, we're going to do some exercises. My request is, as I choose people to do these exercises with, that you pretend that I'm talking directly to you, because I promise you I'm just picking an avatar that represents. Does everyone want the best, most effective, most efficient avatar ever? Like the perfect person to answer all your questions that you don't even know you have. Excellent. The intention is set. The next thing is, speaking of which, every time we do these, someone wins a one-on-one with me. And I don't know if you know this, not that it matters very much if you're thriving, really, but our one-on-one holographic reading with me is about $1,200 per hour. So I'm doing readings with people for 20 minutes. And you're just winning it. And know who's picking it? JC. JC is picking the people. Oh, yes, she is. Put up your hand, JC. Yep, she's the one. It's her fault. So I've already had a beautiful conversation with Carol Good and with Barbie Jimenez. And I hope Patricia's here today. I loved our conversation when we were in our first in Discover. But the person who won from last time, I don't know if she's here. I hope she is Claire Hackney. So Claire will be sending you an email. If you're here, show your beautiful face. If you're going to hear this on the replay, then so be it. But you were here last time, so you won. We have a very secret formula for picking people. So, all right.
Jen,
Yes.
could you ask, well, I guess I could ask Claire, if you're on a call, could you please reach out to operations@thewideawakening.com?
There you go. Operations@thewideawakening.com if you're here, Claire.
Thank
All
you.
right. So here we go. We will pick someone today, and it won't be because JC likes you the most, I promise you. She has a very, very linear way of choosing the person. So, however, mine is a little more intuitive, less linear. So as I said, if I see your face, I can tell who it would be the highest to speak to. The first thing we're going to do before we do some exercises, because it is the basis for everything else we're going to do around struggle and transcending drama and all that stuff, is we're going to talk about survival, surviving better, and thriving. Okay, here we go. Here we go. So I'm going to give you what surviving looks like in relationships, then surviving better, and then thriving. In relationships, including family relationships, love relationships, all of them, survival looks like that you made it through another day, that you found your way back to your heart, even though you only got pissed off at them 3 times that day, that you work hard at finding new perspectives. so that you can be in this person's company. Okay. Surviving better is that you have a fairly good perspective on things, but maybe you don't feel as connected as you could. You feel connected sometimes, but then you'll pull yourself out of connection and then get back into connection. So it's more about your degree of connection. Maybe it's like 50-50, but you go in and out of it and you really love it when you feel the connection. It's fantastic. That's surviving better. Thriving is where you get to a place where literally nobody can take you out. Just people don't take you out. They don't take you out of your heart. You feel connected. You even feel connected to people that you completely don't understand, or on another wavelength of politically, or about vaccines, or about whatever in the world, right? It just doesn't take you out. So you have not only do you not fall out of love with people, but you actually have an overflow most of the time. That's thriving. Okay. So see which one you fit into. Just put a little checky box. Okay. So let's now do financial flow. Okay. So surviving is you always have just enough to pay your bills. And sometimes you might fall behind, but you catch up. So you're surviving. You're literally making it work. Right? Surviving better is that you often have some overflow. You can have some overflow, but before long, there's like a car repair or a something that comes along, and it's like, and you might have a little bit of a nest egg, but it's not enough to keep you going in the long run, maybe in retirement, or you have some fear that it won't be there. Okay. So that's surviving better, but you're doing okay. You're doing okay. You get the vibe of surviving better. You're surviving better than just surviving. You're doing better. Thriving is when money comes fairly consistently from places that you don't even expect, and you don't even understand how you have more money than you thought you did consistently. You just don't understand how that keeps happening. And that's thriving. Okay. It's not just money, it's what you need. It's a vacation, it's a free vacation, and it just seems to be the consistent way it is. Surviving better is those things happen here and there, and you love it when they happen. But I can tell you right now that thriving, you don't even think about it. It's just the way it is for you. That it consistently happens as a default way of being. Okay. So now we're going to do one more around health. Okay. We're only going to do 3 aspects, the 3 main aspects of life, I would say. Let's do health. Okay. Surviving is you've figured out a way to get around. You've got some of the genetic things that you've had in your family, but you figured out how to manage them. Even if you don't have the genetic things, you might have aches and pains or something, or maybe not energy. And you figure out vitamins or a way of eating, and maybe you have to eat a certain way or avoid certain things. That's surviving. Surviving is it feels like you have to control a lot of things in order for you to feel good. Or you've just basically acquiesced and said, well, that's my genetics and that's just the way it is. Surviving better is actually that you do cleanses, and that you take lots of vitamins, and that you actually meditate, and you bring energy into your body. And but the symptoms seem to come and go, or your energy seems to come and go, or even your mood. Maybe you're a bit maybe you have some adrenal symptoms, which we're going to talk about. By the way, that is one of the main I see people who are wanting to thrive burning their adrenals out all the time. One of the things we're going to do a free workshop for all the people that sign up for Agents of Awakening as founding members, like the one-time founding member thing that we have going on until July 21st. But adrenal Transcending adrenal burnout is one of the first things we're going to do in our free workshop that'll be just for you guys, okay, in Agents of Awakening, but I'll tell you about that later. So, yeah, and you may find yourself sort of aging, but you're managing your aging well, you know? Okay. Thriving is an entirely different animal. Thriving is where you need like 4 or 5 hours sleep tops. Thriving is where your brain, like this has just started happening because I noticed there was an area where I was still surviving better around my mental capacities after going through menopause or being in menopause, I guess. And one of the things that happens, I called it mental pause. And so one of the things that happened was it's like, oh my God, I still have some I'm still plugged into survival-based operating systems around my brain because I had had meningitis and I had had migraines and brain damage. And it's like, oh, no, 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 no. And so I switched to a thriving operating system. And what happened was now my memory is just as good as it was when I was 25. Like, and it is entirely due to that switch. That has nothing to do with anyone here asking, so what did you do? So how'd you do it? Because it isn't a to do, it's a to be. Okay. So, and we're going to talk about that. But if you don't find yourself in the overflow of mobility and the overflow of memory and the overflow of feeling like you're vital and alive, like you're young again, like your sex drive is awesome, all that kind of stuff, then you're probably surviving better. Okay. There is one area that I would say, which is interesting. It's around your accomplishing your dreams. How many people here, mostly you have big dreams, but you go in and out of the flow with it? How many people are like that? You go in and out, right? That's surviving better. Okay. Going in and out of it is because we get distracted. It's because we get independence disease and we stop receiving from others. Nod your head if you know you're one of those people. You try to do it all yourself. Oh my God, if I could only tell you, if I could only get you. It's one of my favorite things to help people with, because it's a switch. It's not a switch in, oh yeah, I got to let more people in. That is survival-based thinking. Oh yeah, I got to remember to let people's ideas in and to ask them to help me. That's survival thinking. When actually it's your default to be a receiver where people just come and actually offer you before you ever even think that you have to ask someone. If you get contributed to long before you even ask someone, it's like, where did that come from? Give you a for instance, one of my friends, you've been on Facebook, one of my friends, Charmaine Hammond, just created an award-winning movie about resilience based on something that happened with the fires out west. And she had some of the most amazing, famous people in this movie that just got launched, and it's now going out to like 100 film festivals. And she said to me, I would love to talk to your groups about resilience. I would love to be a guest on your, and I'm like, I didn't even have to ask. Who doesn't want to talk to her? She's like the possibility queen. And to talk to her is almost like being activated to being unstoppable, and not in a way where you have to push. Those of you that are in survival, you'll hear what I just said, like, oh my God, that sounds like a lot of effort. To make a move, be unstoppable. It feels like, oh my God, I got to push past all these stops. That's survival thinking. Thriving is everything comes to you and you wish there was 36 hours in a day and that you only need 2 hours sleep. So you could have fun and play with it all because you're so exhilarated by your life. That's thriving. Okay. Does that give you guys a sense? Does it give you a sense of it? Okay. And now you know where you're at. There's nothing to judge. If you use anything I teach to judge yourself by, you fail this workshop. Okay. So you're not allowed to look at where your check marks are and go, oh my God, I'm surviving everywhere. And then go, it's hopeless. Because the reason you're here is so we can transcend it. So you get to say, I'll give you a little bit of thriving. You know, if you were embodied in your thriving operating system, what you would have said is, I can't believe I'm in the right place. This is fantastic. This is excellent. Do you see what I mean? If you haven't embodied thriving and you're still in surviving better, you'd go, oh yeah. I am in the right place. I got it. Thank you for reminding me. That's survival-based thinking. You haven't embodied it because it didn't come automatically. I want you to start to get the distinctions. Okay. So this is where we're all starting. How many people had a lot of surviving and surviving better things? You notice. Yeah, that's okay. That is perfectly fine. Do you know that most of the world is in all survival? Every single thing check is a survival. That's where 85% of the world lives. Stressful. But you know what people need? Not people need. That's the wrong way of wording it. Do you know what would benefit humanity hugely? To have a whole bunch of radiating, thriving people being examples of what's possible for humanity, radiating the magnetics of the bridges you've built to being able to do that, and activating each other and being each other's best friend, because when you forget, your best friend always reminds you of who you really are and what's actually possible. Imagine that kind of a community. And imagine that all the people that are struggling are actually asking for us, which is why you're here, because that's what we are up to. That's why it's called the wide awakening, because it's wide. Okay. All right. Questions, Diane? Any questions, Diane, you want to bring to my attention before we go further? And people
There
on
are.
Facebook, if you have questions, you can ask them in the comment field in Facebook, but we'd love for you to join us here on the Zoom. So Diane, go ahead.
All right. One from Diane Kowalski. This is a big one. So how can I release the old pattern of carrying? Shorten that up.
Great question, Diane. So I'm going to bring you live in a couple of seconds. Is that okay? Yeah, let's do that. Cool. What else, Diane?
The other one is from Joan, who asks, what happens if you tune into why someone really thinks that way, she said, but that person does not know it themselves. So you might need to get some clarification on that.
Well, if somebody you love or know or appreciate is living in survival or surviving better, and it's bothering you, bothering you is like you care enough that you want them to have this great life, right? That's what most, like, I would really love this person to have a great life. But when you actually think about it all the time and it frustrates you and it actually can get you down sometime, that's how you know you're carrying it, which then speaks to Diane K's question about carrying, which we're going to go into. And I'm going to say two things. Most of us have someone in our life, a child, a sister, you know, someone we love as a lover or something like that, who you feel, let's get real. Everyone here, everyone that's listening right now, I know you all have very sensitive BS meters or incongruency meters. You can feel when someone else is operating from incongruency, can't you? Don't you feel it? Like when someone you love is off, or when someone you love isn't living their potential. We feel it. We feel it within ourselves for ourselves as well, right? So because you have that, what happens is we then think that because we've pulled ourselves out of the depths of struggle, that because we think we should when someone is in front of us. But in reality, you go as far as you can go to the extent that the person can hear what you have to say, with the skills you have for building a bridge. And if they're in front of you, there's probably some part of them that's asking, but you can lead the horse to water. And if they're not drinking, you are expending energy on someone who you could take that energy and expend it on someone else who'd be more receptive. And I promise you, there are cajillions of people that would love to hear what you have to say on that subject. If you keep going, so this is a biggie, everybody breathe for a second, because this is a real biggie for a second. Usually it's because you're attached to a result and it is your discomfort. It's all about you. I'm uncomfortable that you're doing that. Therefore, I'm going to try to fix it. That is not about them and helping them anymore. That's completely about you. You with me? Make sense? Yeah. So, all right.
One more.
Okay, go ahead.
And this is, I'm going to put this in the form of a question. It was a form of a statement from Vicky Schertz.
Okay, go.
How do I transmute my underlying sense of resentment towards people in my past?
Well, that's carrying the resentment too. So Vicky, let's have the conversation with Diane. Does anyone else here know that you either carry, meaning worry about, and have worried about for more than a day, somebody in your life? Has anyone been carrying anyone? A lover? Right? You've thought about it a lot. You've tried to fix them. You spent time thinking about, how do I fix this situation? You've carried a situation that you wish would turn out a different way, but it's going the way it's going. That's carrying. Okay. Carrying yourself is when you worry about yourself, when you judge yourself. So Kelly, one last question I saw that you have. And by the way, Barbie, Barbie Jimenez, I see that you're here. It was really, I loved our one-on-one. It was so good. So let's just see here. I want to get to also, Kelly, you're saying building the bridge to those that want to come across. Exactly. Yeah. Everyone that comes into your experience, you get to activate to some degree. People project that people that come into your experience are either teachers or, they're the person that's supposed to be there. But sometimes you're the one that's supposed to activate them and then leave. I worked at Covenant House for years with street kids. And I can tell you right now that 98% of them didn't get off the street as a result of anything I said. But who knows years later what I activated them to that they might have remembered. And in fact, one street kid came back to me later, like years later, like 12 years later, and said, I remembered what you said. And it was someone that I really appreciated. So you have no idea what you're doing in the world. You really don't. There are people that come into your world and they're there to inspire you. There are people that come into your world that are there to catalyze you and be a pain in your patootie. There are people that come into your world that give you the opportunity to fully choose what it is that you desire, because they're so not what you desire. So they give you such deep clarity, but that it's the final choosing point. So that situation will never happen again. And some people come into your life so that you can practice actually letting go and facing the direction of the people that actually want what you have to offer. Right? So here we go. All right. So before we get to you, Miss Dear Diane, why do people struggle and resist? Well, there's a part of us, and included in that is carrying. There's a part of us that actually, for many of us, are scared to actually get on with our dreams. Because what if we find out we're not all that in a bag of chips? What if we find out that the dream is a lie? Wouldn't it be better just not to do it at all? Then you'd never find out. So that is survival-based thinking, because survival-based thinking is about accomplishing things instead of dancing with all of the opportunities in front of you. Thriving is dancing with all the opportunities in front of you, as though you have the privilege of being able to play with all the resources of humanity. And it doesn't really matter. The goal is just an excuse to go on the journey. You with me? The goal is just the excuse to go on the journey. So we relate to the dreams like it's who you are, or it's a reflection of your validity in the universe or of your worthiness. So why do it? Right? So that's one of the reasons why people don't move on. Get on with what they're here to get on with. Carrying is a form of resistance, Diane. Right? So Diane, let's talk to you for a second if you're willing to jump on. Are you there? Can you
I'm here.
Hey girl, how are you?
I'm good. Sweaty.
My favorite fellow dolphin. So my dear, do tell, what is this carrying of which you speak, which nobody else does, just you?
Hmm.
What do you carry? Who do you carry?
I carry friends.
You worry about them.
I worry, yeah. Yeah, and what I do is use my energy to make their lives better, but that doesn't really work. I mean, it's like I'll call them or I'll send them a card, or, you know, and I guess based on the result, I can't, it's like I know I'm carrying them. Yeah, I can feel
Well,
it.
tell everybody the result. What's the result?
Well, it doesn't work. It doesn't feel right.
And do you feel like there's, this beautiful flow of reciprocity?
No.
Does their entire life change because you were kind to them?
No.
No.
No,
Right.
it isn't a two-way street at all. And that's frustrating.
Well, it doesn't matter if it's a two-way street. Having it be a two-way street is surviving better.
Oh, okay.
Can you get that in thriving? Sometimes you're just called to write a card and it doesn't actually matter if you get anything back.
Totally. I do a lot of that. And that's
I know. So here's the thing. So that's an ego-based phenomenon. Well, I'm not going to do that unless I get something back. It's got to be reciprocal. If this person doesn't want to dance with me, I don't want to dance with you. See what I mean?
Yeah.
That's all ego-based. You with me?
Fly at work.
In reality, going direct with consciousness, living in overflow, which is a process of embodiment, which is basically all of the programs that we teach lead you through the process of embodiment, right? Mm-hmm. But if we were all in that embodied state, you'd only send cards when it literally consciousness put it in front of your face to do. The card would drop in your lap, the pen would drop in your, it would just be so obvious, it would be stupid. Yep. Now, do you ever do that, Diane? If you
Sure.
Okay. So here's what I know about you when I look at your hologram, my love, and having looked at your hologram before when we were swimming with dolphins. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. Here's what's true of you. Just like a dolphin. How many people here love dolphins, by the way? Just, a lot of our people adore dolphins. I don't know what that is. It's like a commonality a lot of times. So dolphins don't talk with ears, right? They speak to each other through this beautiful energetic exchange. They feel through their skin. It's very, very cool the way they commune. And when you go into the water with a dolphin, by the way, or a whale, the sounds that they make actually are received beyond your ears. It's like you're immersed, because remember, you guys, sound travels in water. And what are you mostly made of? Water. So when you swim with dolphins and whales, you are experiencing the frequencies that they're communicating through. Your ears are hearing it, but you're confused because it's like, I'm feeling something. It's so weird. And you do that, Diana. It's like honestly, you are like the embodiment of that energy because you feel people.
Yeah.
You do. And you also emanate this beautiful vibe. And I'm sure everyone here can feel it. You're just like this generous, generous heart with legs. I mean, it doesn't even take, we don't even have to talk long and everybody will get that about you. And there are some people in this world, I am telling you right now, that need, so imagine yourself a dolphin emanating into the field, all of that. And that's enough without a card or without carrying anyone or without doing anything. That in and of itself, remember I told you guys, I'm talking directly to you,
Yeah.
right? I'm not just talking to Diane here. That as you are, you have 75 trillion cells emanating photon packages of light. The love and the gratitude and the generosity of which you are is emanating out of you and being received by 75 trillion cells, my dear, of everyone around you and all around the world. So there's no amount of cards that could possibly catch up to the heart beam that you are. You understand?
Yeah.
Okay. So now from there, when would you write a card?
When so moved to.
I rest my case. So you just saw what it's like to permanently thrive.
Yeah.
And from that place that I just shared, you'd also be receiving from fellow dolphins,
Yeah.
whether aware of them or not. And as a result of that, it doesn't matter if Uncle George doesn't send you a card back or doesn't phone you after you tell him how fabulous he is. Because if you don't get it from Uncle George, I promise you'll get it from 5,000 other ways. Are there some people that see and get you and constantly pour love on you because you're such an awesome human being?
Yes.
There you go. It doesn't really matter who pays it back to you, my dear. You got it?
Yeah.
So I'm going to put a exclamation point on this. The love that you are, all of you, each of you, the love that you are is enough. Every bridge that you've built, every hardship you've been through creates metaphysical bridges that already contribute to millions of people on earth because you had the courage to go across them. It's available in consciousness to other people by the millions because you had the courage to be you and the courage to love and the courage to be unconditional. The cool thing is that when you're actually called to write that card or have that phone call or say something kind to the cashier, I promise you, if you really follow that thread, and as you learn, so here's the punchline, as we come to the place of embodying that, Diane, like as your default, you would never carry. It's nothing I can, it's like saying, okay, you want to lose weight? Okay, eat less and exercise more. Nothing I'm going to say here is going to give you the experience of embodiment, you guys. Okay. That's a journey and it's an experience. But as we move through the exercises to get to that place in Thriving Operating System 1, Thriving Operating System 2, some people do flight school. As we do that, you get to this place where you wouldn't even think about writing a card for any other reason. It just wouldn't even occur to you to do it. Do you get the difference?
Yeah.
Is that helpful for you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How many people, Diane's on your team because she asked a question that really helped you? Yeah. Yeah. Perfect, Diane.
Thanks.
Right?
Yeah, it is perfect. Thank you.
You're an answer to an asking. I'm going to say it again, Diane. We're all answers to an asking. I'm an answer to an asking. Each of you is an answer to a heartfelt, sometimes pleading asking. And all of the dreams and all of the things that you guys have dreamt almost into consciousness or just have ideas about, or things that you feel like, oh, if I died tomorrow and I didn't get this done, oh man, all of those things are an answer to an asking. There are people, the reason you feel called is the call is coming from someone else. You becoming you is being asked for, not just by you. And you don't owe it to anyone. But I want you to know that sometimes when you feel that urgent call, it's because it's not just you calling you. It's good enough that you're calling yourself, you know, but imagine the blessing of all these people, all these beautiful beings waiting for, you know, that hookup in the grocery store, or that one thing that you're going to say at the bank teller's desk, you know? So that is how the world changes. 6 degrees of separation at a time. Right? So thank you, Diane. Thank you for being vulnerable and for being willing.
Thank you, Jennifer.
So, and thank you for sharing. So Vicky, how does that speak to you? How does that assist you?
Well, that's one thing I struggle with on off and on, is feeling like I'm enough or I'm doing enough. So the thing that's been bothering me that's come up lately is I got fired from my job.
Oh,
And-
how fun is that?
Well, it is because of the stimulus package. I have some money so that I can actually survive for until I get a new job. So that's a blessing, because then when they let me go, I know that they tried the best they could, but I wasn't.
That's good. So
just
you're
couldn't-
like, this sounds like the land of surviving better.
Mhm.
It's not like you had nothing and you had to scramble, right?
Right, exactly.
So now you said something about resentment.
Yes. So what happens is Fred, who's my ego, comes along and says, you shouldn't have to be working, you should be retired. And some of your kids are rich, your ex-husband is rich. How come you have to work so hard and be out there when you don't want to?
Right.
So I want to not buy into that at all, because I feel like it's stopping me.
So I'm going to demonstrate right now, you guys, the difference between a program that excavates, like tries to fix what she just talked about,
Mhm.
and a program that actually activates, which is activating the deeper truth of what's going on, such that she can't even hold on to that idea. She can't even listen to Fred. Fred's her ego's name, in case you missed it. My ego's name is Bob. And I like calling egos neutral names, because really they're not doing anything wrong. It's like a dog wagging its tail. That's what they do.
Mhm.
Right. So mine is Bob. So Bob's cute. I just need to tell him he's right a lot. You're totally right, Bob. So I'm going to do the same with your ego right now. You're totally right, Vicky. This life is all about, making lots of money, and that's how you succeed, and everybody else is doing it, and you don't have the capacity, and it's just not possible for you. You're absolutely right. And you have to struggle to get it, because God designed you that way. It's actually your design. God loved everybody else. And there's this
But me.
clause in the creation code, and the clause says, except Vicky
Vicky.
Stringham. Yeah. Yeah. It is written. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah,
No, it
not
really,
true.
right.
Yep.
It's not true, but that's what your ego's saying. So what I'm doing is I'm making your ego right. Right.
Okay, Fred.
Just so that your ego can get how ridiculous it sounds.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty ridiculous.
Okay.
The other thing is, I know I've always been taken care of. I've
Well,
always
now, so
been
wait a
taken
second,
care
wait a
of.
second, wait a second. Both can't be true.
I know.
Both can't be true. Did you have to work hard for the stimulus package?
No, that was
Well,
wonderful.
Then I'm just saying. So the point is this, you guys. The point is this for you, Vicky, and I appreciate you saying this. We start to resent because we've made up that everything's supposed to look how everyone else's life is. But you're actually, I suspect you have a tremendous amount of want to be in integrity with yourself, correct?
Very much.
Yes.
And sometimes that's why the job goes away.
That is
It's
exactly
like,
why I'm bringing it up. It is
do
exactly
it.
what I see in your hologram. Is
Yep.
the reason is you're trying to have integrity to their customers, to the company, to all of that kind of stuff. And people don't want to have as much integrity as you have. So what you do in the world is you're this little tree shaking activator to higher integrity. And you run, and the reason you keep getting around, you getting let go of jobs or you move from job to job is because you moved from activation to activation, not job to job. And you always get taken care of. And the reason the $1 million isn't coming is because you haven't really owned the job that you're doing, which is activating deeper truths for every place that you go into. And because that's your job on the planet, you move from job to job to job, and the universe is always taking care of you in kind of non-linear ways that you don't understand, but you always seem to have enough money. Isn't that true?
Yes.
And the reason you don't go into thriving is because you judge that that's not the right way to live. Everyone else is rich and they've done it this way. This isn't the right way. Why am I doing it this non-linear way? This can't be right. It can't be true. Everyone else is rich and has money and I don't. And I'm just this unicorn, and unicorns don't make money. It's like being an artist. You don't make money, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, that puts it at a different perspective for sure. I know that when I go places, things change around me. Sometimes people leave.
My point exactly, Vicki. I want you to know that the way that you are, and I'm talking to everybody right now, the way that you are that shakes people's trees, the way that you be that isn't like everybody else, is the activation that you are in your family, at your work, with your kids, in the grocery store. And being a walking apology for it.
Oh yeah, there that is.
Being a walking apology for that is actually diffusing your ability to remain in flow, which has no walking apology. It just is what it is. Just like the flow, just like consciousness. It just is who you are. What if you appreciated it and owned it and watched the abundance that the universe keeps bestowing upon you, regardless of Fred kicking and screaming? I wonder what would happen if Fred just got the truth knocked into him and realized who you really are.
Oh.
And you stopped judging the way it happens for you instead of people that are living very linear, and I would say less connected lives, my love.
Yeah.
Less meaningful, less deep lives. I mean, if you were going to trade money for depth and meaning,
I could have done that.
I know you could have.
Yep.
And that is the level of integrity you have to your heart. Own it, sister.
Thank you.
Love you, Vicki. How many people here, Vicki, Vicki's on your team? Like, that girl's on your team. Thank you. Right? So good, Vicki. Thank you for opening your heart. Just really super, super great.
Thank you.
Yeah. Can't wait to see how you do there. So you guys, this is how team works together. Metaphysically speaking, we're each on each other's team. That's what agents of awakening are. It's like, instead of having independence disease, which is an amazing way to struggle, it's an amazing way to remain in struggle. Because I bet, Vicki, you in your own head trying to figure it out felt a lot like struggle, right? Do you know how many people you just activated just by opening your heart? And Diane too. It's the result, you guys. The evolution that we each make of deeper understandings only happens through people being vulnerable. Because when you open your heart to everybody else, the universe can actually walk in. Opening your heart is just an excuse for vulnerability so that the entire universe can walk in and give you the deeper truths. And when we do it in a group, we get exponential results on this planet, but we exponentiate. Every person here gets to activate everybody else here. And I've seen it when we go on trips. I've seen it when we go, in flight school and we do our group events. And so I've seen it when we've done Thriving Operating System 1 and 2 retreats. It's just so powerful. So, okay. So I'm going to summarize the why people struggle and resist here. Because they're trying to learn information versus embodying a deeper truth. So the most important thing in our work is getting you the experience that has you embodied it. It's like literally the difference between giving you a fish and teaching you how to fish. I would love for you guys to actually never need us, but just play full out and co-create and catalyze each other. Wouldn't that be fun? Forget about needing people. How about co-creating and having fun and activating each other? Geez Louise. And that's what embodiment looks like. The next is they just have habits of survival that are burnt into their brain. The next is they approach even workshops like this. They approach them as though they're fixing themselves. In other words, I'm broken. I'm going to come and listen to Jennifer or whomever would, Panache Thai or whoever. And I'm going to listen to it like I'm broken and need fixing. And maybe I'll get something that'll finally get me over the hump. Finally get me to do something. As long as you're listening to what anyone is saying from that position, the universe is going to send you more things that are broken to fix. And you will never get on with the reason why you were born. The next one is you don't leave any space for miracles to happen in your day. You're so busy pushing because you have independence disease, right? So, which is another one we're going to address in a big way in that 1-day workshop for people who are founding members of Agents of Awakening. Independence disease has got to go out the window. It's an entirely different operating system to be able to catalyze, inspire, and literally operate from the way the physics operates, which has nothing to do with being independent, which is why everything seems like it needs so much force and energy. Finally, another way that why people struggle and resist is because they don't have a place to go to live in overflow. They don't recharge their battery. They do it all in their head when they're thinking, or they go on a walk, but it's still by themselves. And there's no place to actually recharge beyond the top of the battery so that there's actually overflow to give out into the world. That's when you start needing less sleep. So there needs to be community. There needs to be a place you can go on a daily basis to remember who you are. Again, hate to be obnoxious, but it literally is the reason why we created Agents of Awakening. It is the dream of all of these things because I answered the question, what is the greatest thing that I can do that would have the most meaning to my heart? That would be the hugest, that would offer the hugest amount of efficiency given everything that I've learned, that would cause the most fantastic contribution to humanity so that we could actually wake up the world together and each other individually. And that's what Agents of Awakening is actually the answer to. So now we're going to talk about third subject. We're almost on 4. So fast tracking getting to your dreams. I know a lot of you put up your hand when we were talking about fast tracking getting to your dreams. For those of you that are joining us on Facebook, we are actually going for another 15-20 minutes. So that's how long you'll be here if you want to go through the third and fourth points around fast tracking your dreams and then transcending the drama in your life, which is basically a great distraction. The world right now could be a great distraction. Have you guys noticed that? Just nod your head if you know what I'm talking about. Like politics, like all that stuff. My God, I watched it for about 10 minutes the other night and I thought, I would just be overwhelmingly depressed if all I listened to was this. I mean, we're like, God, geez Louise, can't they do news with any good news? Or like, seriously, why is it like 20 bad news stories and then like one good news story? You know what I mean? So for that reason, fast tracking your dreams. So I'm going to talk about my friend Charmaine, who I'll post her movie again, the trailer for her movie again on our Facebook page so you can see it. But I was talking to her yesterday, and I want you to know that she surrounds herself with community that assists and that gets inspired by her. She is a relentless champion of her vibration. Okay. If she gets off track, okay, listen to this. Let everybody breathe again. This is such a fabulous point. If she gets off track even a little bit, it reminds me of me. If I get off track for more than a half an hour, I have a list of strategies. The first of which is 1-800 phone a friend that knows me for who I really am when I forget myself. So the person will not engage in my story. They refuse to. It's like your best friend in the world. You have to have this person or these people. I can't have one of these people. I've learned recently that you can't just have, you have to have many people like this who see you when you forget yourself. Even in my business, I've made myself incredibly vulnerable to my team, especially recently. Wouldn't you say, you guys? And just letting them know what's going on with me. Letting all of me out to let the whole universe in for solutions, right? So the point is this: you need those people. You need them. You know, I was working with someone recently who was going through a tremendous, she's just a young woman going through a really horrific health crisis. And we finally got to the place where she totally cracked. Like, I've been trying to, I don't want to think bad thoughts. I don't want everyone to know what I have. I don't want everybody to, and I said, yeah, that's not going to work. Because there are people that love you that actually, they know who you are when you forget. And those people are going to be part of your team. So that kind of a team is really important. And I think some of you probably you haven't consciously created that team. So how many people have consciously have set themselves up that way? Has anyone consciously done that? Like, you have that person? A few people. It's not very many people. I'm telling you, when I ask people in general, it isn't. When we get to the end of today is when JC will actually choose I just want you guys to know, when we get to the end of today is when JC is going to choose the person who gets the free one-on-one, who wins, I should say. So I just want to let you know that because we got just a little bit more to go. And also at the end, I want to make sure you know what's happening on the 21st. It's like I said, it's the answer to the biggest question I can ask myself, or you can ask yourself. Okay. So the next key to fast tracking your dreams is to transcend the need to excavate what's in your way, to find out the reason why. So I was looking at migraines. I'll give you an idea of this. And for those of you who have migraines, I so have compassion. I truly do. So look at your version of migraines, whatever your migraines are. You know, it could be a health thing, could be a life thing, doesn't matter. But I was trying to fix myself. I did every cleanse in the book. I actually became a nutritionist, so I wouldn't have, like, literally becoming a nutritionist was to fix myself, right? So I actually got a degree in nutrition to fix myself. And it never went away, of course, because I came at it from fixing myself. So there was always going to be this little thing. And then one day I let go of everything that I knew, because I started to understand the operating system for thriving. And I realized that I was leaving absolutely no space for anything other than what I already knew. All I knew was to excavate, either nutritionally cleanse, or, you know, with my personality cleanse, or with the past cleanse, etc. And all of a sudden, this information came through that was so transcendent of what I already thought. I was an economist. I didn't know nothing about nothing that I'm talking about right now. And what I heard was the voice of creation, the voice of God, the voice of my greater, wisdom, whatever you want to call it. and it said, it's your father. I went, what? And they're like, your ancestry on the entirety of that lineage puts so much pressure on themselves that someone's going to die if you don't get something completed. And you just developed a habit over time from that lineage to consistently put pressure on yourself. And it's just the way you be. And I saw it instantly, but I didn't just see it for me because I was a nutritionist at the time. I saw all that I could pay forward. And when I came from that perspective of the contribution this could be to so many people, it was amazing how many people started to come that I could, it all became about contribution. It was just a mind flip, when the switch goes off, and you know that nothing I'm going to say is going to cause a switch for you to go off unless you're ready for the switch. Right. So, so again, information is okay. Having experiences that flip switches hundreds at a time is really cool. So the next thing that has us not get on with our dreams, right? So excavation is okay when it presents, when it's right in front of you. But when you think the entire way for you to get on with your dreams is to excavate all the reasons why you're in your way, you will perpetually find, not only in this lifetime, but every lifetime, reasons and belief systems that you've developed, because there are thousands and thousands of them. Okay. So you can't have that as your only way. So independence disease, we already talked about. I would say, when we have independence disease, you actually shut down the flow of the information from the 7.6 billion people on this planet who are all evolving. When you say I'm alone in this, all of the metaphysical bridges that they've built to heal themselves become less available to you the instant you, because that's what you're telling consciousness. I have to do this alone. Well, the receptor sites on the outside of your cells kind of close off at lower frequencies, so you don't receive as much of the insights as you could get from consciousness, because literally you're on your own. And if you operate like you're on your own and you do it like you're on your own, guess what? You literally will get the information of someone who's on their own. And you've just seen, even just from me working with just a couple of people in like 5-minute conversations, little bitty things they're huge for some people, huge things that can shift, right? They're amazing. Thousands at a time. So the last one is your belief that your life can't shift at thousands of beliefs at a time. Or maybe a judgment that that's spiritual bypassing, which I promise you, when you see, it's actually not, because one of the issues that happens when you transmute things, even hundreds of beliefs at a time, is that you don't recognize yourself. You can't go too fast, because then you don't recognize yourself at the other side. You're so unfamiliar to yourself, you actually don't know how to operate in the world. So consciousness loves us so much that we do it at the perfect speed, but it is the fast track. Right? That's what our thriving operating system 1 and 2 are. Okay. Finally, I promised that I would talk about how to transcend the drama. Okay. Joan's asking, so what's the opposite of independence disease? The opposite of independence disease is becoming a receiving magnet. It's literally dancing with everything, everyone and everything creation has in front of you in a way that's conscious. So it's becoming a conscious dancer with all of creation, including everyone, instead of keeping people away. Like, I don't like them. I don't want to play with them. I don't understand them. Some of the most amazing things that ever got told to me were working on the Covenant House van with these basically heroin addicts, bless them. And just the brilliance that, because we wouldn't let them on the van if they were high, But the brilliance when they were sober, you could tell they were highly sensitive beings, like very, very sensitive, which is probably why they were trying to numb themselves. But imagine if I hadn't let them in, right? One of the formative stories in my entire life is actually one of the young ladies that I walked to the psych ward named Angel. And many of you have heard that story. Imagine me thinking she has nothing to offer me. You know, I just had a conversation with someone yesterday who's one of the top physicians in the world. And we just talked about how she wasn't letting in some of the executive assistants and I said, oh, girlfriend, I got some stuff to say around that. Right. So it is. And yes, Barbara, Charmaine Hammond is absolutely amazing. So, yes. And it's making yourself available to dance with anything that comes your way and assuming that consciousness has your back enough that what's going to present. It's kind of like a more conscious version of the movie Yes Man, right? Like people come into your experience. And if you haven't watched Yes Man, go and watch it after this because you guys will like it. It's funny as heck. It's adorable, but it does tell you how consciousness orchestrates things at the end of the movie. It literally is just exactly what I'm talking about right now. So, and you know, Jim Carrey, he's all into consciousness now. It's no wonder he made that movie, right? So it's not talking to everyone, and it's not, I'm saying playing and considering everything, but it's not necessarily talking or making a date or doing whatever. It's being so present in your everyday without being distracted by judgments or worry of other people's judgments, or it's really living at the frequency where all of that doesn't matter, that you just know what's presenting and what's presenting, what's presenting and what's presenting, which is really what the ultimate journey is in the Wide Awakening. That's the flight school journey. But we extracted a piece of flight school out of that program and put it into Thriving Operating System 2 and one a little bit, but really Thriving Operating System 2. So be able to embody on that level. So you actually know what's presenting and it's like becoming a walking meditation. You don't even need to meditate because literally it happens so fast. You wouldn't want to slow down to meditate. You're just having that much fun. So, and Winnie, of course you can ask a question. Beautiful. So, and Pauline, thank you for saying that. You're gorgeous. Thank you, sweetie pie. So, all right. Transcending drama. And I'm going to Winnie, Winsy. I have a friend named Winnie, so I'm sorry I was calling you Winnie, Winsy. So Winsy, I'm going to address your question after we're complete here, so that if anyone wants to stay on extra, they can, but I want to make sure we get through the material for today. And then if anyone wants to stay on, Winsy, absolutely, I'm going to come and call on you, okay? So make sure you stay with us. All right. So you guys, transcending drama. Okay. We've been told that you have to have a breakdown to have a breakthrough. What if there are no breakdowns? And what if there are no breakthroughs? What if all there is playing with everything and actually being the walking embodiment of moving through challenges as excuses to create upon creation? What if that's all there is? And what if, everybody breathe, again, this is a really big one. What if the only thing that causes drama is that life isn't meeting your expectations? I'm going to say it again. Think about it. Just sit with that for a second. What if the only thing that causes drama is the idea that you have an expectation of the way the relationship should go, your business should go, the money should look, the animals should behave, whatever it is, politics. The reason there's drama is because you have an active, I'm going to put a punchline on this, by the way, and it's a big one. You have an expectation of the way it should go. Now, somewhere inside some of you, there may be this thought, yeah, but it should be like, it's crazy out there. Or That person shouldn't treat me badly. Like, what are you talking? Shouldn't I have an expectation that, like, come on. I want to talk about divine expectation for the first time in any workshop I've ever done. Divine expectation comes from the part of you that was the soul that poured through this body before you had the body. In your infinite knowing, you stood in line. You could not wait to get to this planet. You literally couldn't imagine a more creative place because of all the contrast. And you wanted to experience with all the resources and all of the multidimensional abilities and three-dimensional abilities in a three-dimensional heavenly place. I'm looking at the mountains right now. Be able to play with all of those resources and to create upon creation. There is nothing more exhilarating for a soul to do than come to earth and dance with all of creation. Okay. And before you came, you knew there would be contrast. You knew, but you also knew that there was a huge thing going on in humanity right now. Everybody breathe, just breathe with me. There would be, in this lifetime of yours, a massive amount of contrast and polarity because things went a little bit more off track from creating upon creation than we knew they could be. We knew that. And we knew this would be a time where our ability to create would be honed and fine-tuned, and there would be a degree of mastery of being able to receive. And you wanted that, and you wanted to be a part of building a bridge to the kind of humanity where people actually are excited to be create upon creation together, and that we don't polarize, that we actually understand that different points of views actually catalyze and offer deeper truths and allow us to go deeper with how consciousness works and how life works and what we can make. That's what we came for. And the deeper knowing is that, of course, you knew before you got here the degree of fluidity that could exist on this planet. You knew it. You absolutely knew how much love we could have for each other. Not that there wouldn't be contrast, but you knew that there was an up-leveling that was going to happen. And the divine expectation is the unspoken expectation that sits in the back of your Akashic record, in your cells, in your beingness, that knowing. And sometimes it comes to the forefront and it looks like that person shouldn't do that. This shouldn't be happening. That isn't the way it is. That's divine expectation. You actually know at the basis of you that it is headed towards being better, and that we're in an evolution, and that you are a part of that evolution. You knew that before you came. It's just you're looking for the skills, you're looking for the people, you're looking for the team. You're looking for other people that know that too. This is like a coming together of people that all have that divine expectation. Don't you agree? Isn't that true? We all have that divine expectation. We know this world can be better. That everyone here has been every color. Everyone here has been every sexual orientation. Everyone here, your soul has had experience after experience after experience. Of course you wouldn't judge. It's literally like you're judging yourself. Why would you polarize? I mean, ultimately, all of our DNA, I can't remember, I think it was Bill Nye, the science guy, said all of our DNA is from Africa. So just be quiet. You know, like, what are we doing? Right? So it's not about being in, it is about being in flow, Lori. I love the question. It's about being in flow, but it's about being in flow with the contrast. Contrast is in the design of the earth. So it's not about losing contrast. It's about actually being on this earth, mastering the skills to be able to navigate and dance with what presents in a way that's so fun and expansive, where you don't get distracted by judgments and the polarities that are happening in the world, and that you utilize all of the contrast to actually catalyze you forward and be the most incredible creator there ever was. Because that would be fulfilling and meaningful for you. Not out loud, maybe introverted, maybe just in your family, Maybe you're the next incarnation of Gandhi. I don't know. Whatever your expression of that is, do you understand? Divine expectation is a beautiful thing. Don't ever lose it. But don't get caught up in the 3D expectation of things. Everything's unfolding in a way that you can't even imagine. Your job is to stay out of being distracted by it. So creation is the shadow of contrast. Creation is the catalyzed entity of contrast. It is the inspiration from contrast. That's what creation is. So baseline, before we do the last little piece, baseline is change is inevitable, therefore. The expectation that things shouldn't change or that they should stand still is another one that distracts people and takes them out and causes drama. All right. So last but not least, and then I'm going to go over to Winsy. Okay. So just let me say this because I want to bring your minds at peace. By July 21st, our founding membership to Angels of Awakening, which includes a massive discount on Thriving Operating System 1 and 2. For those of you who've done TOS 1, TOS 2, big discount for people that jump in. Our flight school people will be part of Agents of Awakening as well. It is an amazing place for people like us to do just this and do it on a page and do it every day and get daily inspiration and be able to take the programs that take us to embody the thriving operating system so that we can do exactly what we talked about today. Agents of Awakening is the answer to my question. And I want you to ask yourself this question right now. Ask yourself the question. You can write it down. What is the most meaningful thing I can do that would fulfill on the reason I was born? That would have me wake up inspired every day. That would be an efficient and effective use of the skills I've developed over time. Such that I would go to bed with a smile on my face, or at least at peace, right? And I could move through the ups and downs of life with grace, with total grace. And my answer to that question was Agents of Awakening, for my purpose, for the reason I'm alive. How can we actually, instead of arguing for polarities, come together and actually catalyze the world as we know it can be? For all the people that have these, these heart's callings, and how can we support each other in becoming? And that's what Agents of Awakening is all about. So by July 21st, we're ending the founding membership. It's $777 for a lifetime. And so you can do Get Out of Your Way for a lifetime. We have monthly calls that are just like this every single month to talk about whatever is on your mind. It could be political. It could be anything. We move through things together at the speed of consciousness rather than at the speed of light, which is way faster. And that's what it is. We will lifetime forever. Okay. And we're ending that. We're only doing it because we're just launching it. And so the second piece of it is that every time we evolve, Get Out of Your Own Way, you get to take it. There's a huge discount on Thriving Operating System 1 and 2 and Flight School when you join. And the value, even in the first year of Thriving of Agents of Awakening, which is it's a membership community, kind of like Facebook, but it's for people that are like us. And there's none of the distractions, right? It's just like, let's go, let's build this, let's do it, let's awaken together. Is there anything else I want to say about that? It's about learning the tools. There's a monthly call. You'll do Get Out of Your Own Way in every evolution we ever do it in. And the value of it in the first year is $5,000 just in the first year alone, and you get it for lifetime, and it's $777. So I just want to tell you guys that really only until we're not doing it ever again. So July 21st is it by midnight. Okay. All right. Now JC, do you want to tell people, can you share who won the one-on-one with me?
Yes.
Yay. Who is it?
Yay. Caroline Clemens.
Yay. Yay, Caroline. High five.
Yay. High five.
So how are you going to connect with her, JC?
We will email her.
Oh, cool, cool. Caroline,
Nadine will email her.
Caroline, if we don't have your email, if you're not on our email list, can you make sure you put your email directly to JC right now? Just do a private message to her with your email, just in case.
That'd be brilliant.
Yep. And for those of you that want to keep up to date on things like this that we're doing, and we're really doing this because we're showing you what Agents of Awakening is really all about. It's about, like-minded spirits who are it's like blazing love beams who know that the world can be different. And it's like so tired of the conversations that are going on out there. Right. So, okay. And we get to create, but Winsy, does anyone have any questions about Agents of Awakening? Anyone good? Everyone good? Anyone, you can type in your question if you have it. Diane will catch it, I am sure. And so we're going to go for another, I don't know, let's do 10 minutes with Winsy and then we'll be done. Okay. But if you need to go, you need to go. We will miss you. You
I
are
have
a
a
member.
question real quick, Jennifer.
Yeah, go ahead, Diane.
There are some other questions. Do you want to answer them after the call, or do you want to see about Winsy and see if you have time? It's up to you.
Let's get some of those questions answered first, and then we'll talk to Winsy. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Awesome. All right. Let's see. So we have a question from Kelly, who says, when things get personal, the BS meter gets staticky. How do I stay clear?
Right. So when things get personal, one of the you remember how I said I have a list of things to do when something takes me out? So this is what we're concurrently doing. Concurrently, what we're doing is we're embodying higher frequencies of ourselves and understanding ourselves more deeply so that fewer and fewer things are taken personally. Because at higher frequencies, you can't even see those things as personal anymore. Okay. It's like the Dalai Lama doesn't take many things personally. What we're doing is we're evolving our understanding of the planet. We use brain bridges and some very deep techniques in TOS2 that get you to that place. So that's the one side. While you're doing that, though, it's not fully embodied. So on the other side, in the surviving better, we want to keep surviving better so we get taken out less and fewer times, right? So how you do that is you have a list, the thing that I mentioned earlier, and I'd love for you guys to have that as homework from this, a surviving better homework, like survive even better, which is make a list of things that you can do when you get distracted, taken out, triggered. Okay. What are the things? And then you got to practice. You guys know, you probably made a list like this before at some point, or said to yourself, oh, I'll just do that if that happens again. I just took a course, I'll do it. And then you did it for a week and then you stopped, right? And what we want to do is not do it for a week and then stop. We want to have that list on our fridge, in our office, everywhere. You make copies. And as the instant you get triggered, it's like it's on your phone. The instant you get triggered, it's on your fridge. The instant you get triggered, and you actually do the one that speaks to you. 1-800 phone a friend. Listen to a recording. That's another thing on Agents of Awakening. We have a whole library of high-end activations to kind of like, so you can listen to one of those, right? To bring yourself back up. So you have this list. Make sense? So, and thanks for the question. What else, Miss Thing?
Stacy, is there a point where you've activated all you can and you have to leave? Is that a thing? I just left a job and I'm still trying to understand this threshold of there's evolution needed or me being told to leave.
Huh. Well, let me just look at it for a second. So that's all mental. It's Tracy. Stacy, that's all mental. Can you see how we get caught up in the mentalness of what goes on? When you start to understand, especially from the position of the thriving operating system, the metaphysical understanding, or the understanding of life from the point of view of physics, how life actually works at a subatomic place, nothing happens that isn't for you. But I can say that to people. Again, it's like saying, hey, eat less and exercise more. That's not going to do anything. So what I'm about to say is like saying, eat less and exercise more. Okay. Really, honestly, the experience of embodying the idea that, which is a very specific journey to go on that can be done by anyone. We specifically made our journey to be able to embody this, the specific journey to be able to know cellularly without question and to question nothing, knowing that it is happening for you. And then if you need to know, you will know in perfect timing why it happened. The knowing of it happening for you, that it literally can't happen any other way on a subatomic level, would have you be so fluid. Can you guys get that? If you lived that way as a way of being, can you get that literally nothing would take you out? Can you see that? Do you understand what I'm saying? If you did, just nod your heads. I need to see some movement because unless you don't believe me. But when you get to this place where, see, you guys all know it intellectually. Like I get that could be that everything happens for me. I mean, from a bigger scale, you could have had the crappiest. I had a father that was really hard on me and very, very, very critical. And someone might say, well, that's not okay. I don't know. Why am I on the planet? Because from the point of view of the reason you're on the planet, I can promise you right now, you'd be shown things of the reason why that happened, including full circling how hard I was in my body, hence manifesting migraines, full circling that, giving the being hard on yourself back to my entire ancestry, including my dad, and watching him transmute it himself was a huge gift to him. And I got to give that gift to my dad and my entire ancestry. Imagine what that did for human civilization, for self-critical people. So you got to understand you're doing way more than you think you are. This isn't just a three-dimensional world, my friends. Okay. And the cool thing about seeing holograms is that I get to see that. I get to see the hologram of every person and the greater reasons why. And as we start to share that together, what happens is you start being activated to higher and higher frequencies of being able to see yourself. So eventually you just don't need anybody else, including me. You don't need me now. However, this is a process of remembering nobody needs anything, but boy, is it beneficial to dance and sing and play with each other. Right? So, all right. Anything else? I think we should go to Winsy now. I can answer the rest of the questions on the playground. Yeah.
There's just one more, but I'll give it to you for the playground. Yeah.
Okay, go. Okay, cool. So Winsy, are you still there, love?
Yeah.
Okay, did any of the questions get answered? And is that how you pronounce your name, by the way?
Yeah, Winsy.
Oh, good. Does it mean anything, Winsy?
Means something in Chinese, but it doesn't mean much in English.
What does it mean in Chinese?
Clever thinking, smart thinking.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think I'm more wise than smart because I think society values smartness more than wisdom. But I think I'm more wise because I think more slowly.
Well, yay for that. I completely relate to that. I used to be smart, and then I got meningitis, and all that smartness went away. Thank God. My dear, yeah. So tell me, where are you? First of all, where in the world are you?
Near Hong Kong.
Oh, very
Not
cool.
in Hong Kong, near Hong Kong.
Oh, you're right near Kay. Kay, put up your hand so she can see you. There you go.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She's
I thought she lives in the West.
No.
Oh.
So Winsy, tell me more about what it is that your question is. What do you want to know about?
I have an issue with independence and not fitting in because I think mostly in my 20s, I was mostly alone and I just became like very independent and I don't always have someone to turn to directly. Like when I had depression, I saved myself by learning about self-help resources online.
Mhm.
So most of my help was like indirect, I guess, like someone, like some courses or some talks, but it wasn't like someone direct, yeah, in my life.
What do you do now for, oh, this is going to be good. I can already tell. Okay, Winsy, let's breathe together. Okay. This is going to be a good one. So, your waters run deep. So I can tell this is going to be super juicy. Okay. So do you have any brothers and sisters?
I'm an only child.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And, did you grow up in Hong Kong area?
Like half of my life.
Okay. And what's the other
Half of-
half?
8 years in the States and I think 6 years in Macau.
And what do you do for a
Yeah.
living?
Building my coaching business.
Okay. And what do you coach people about?
Belief, mindset, self-esteem.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you something because the first thing that came to me when I looked at your hologram was that if you didn't go through, okay, did your parents understand you?
Not really. I think like you know the MBTI, Myers-Briggs personality. So
Absolutely.
so I think my parents are like sensing type, like really practical, very materialistic. And I
Yeah.
feel like I'm very spiritual.
Yeah.
But and then I'm INFJ, so apparently that's the most spiritual personality. Is also rare, but it's also weird because I got diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome before because I didn't
Well,
conform. But that was like, doesn't that like contrast with my MBTI
oh,
of
sweetie
being
pie.
intuitive?
It actually, so, okay, little Miss Unicorn. Here's the thing. I'm just gonna, I'm so glad you're here and I'm so glad you asked the question. Truly. I'm just, I cannot tell you how glad I am that you're here. How many people here can relate to at least 3 or 4 things that she's already said? Like that is, so I want you to keep your hands up.
Oh,
I want you to look around, Winsy. That's almost everyone. So you just served this conversation. It makes me want to cry.
I haven't the second time. I was at this other workshop talking about my relationship with my mom, and then like a lot of people raised their hands. I was like, wow, that
But
was yeah.
here's the thing, sweetie pie. Your soul got born into the perfect family, a family that wouldn't understand you. Okay, so everybody listen and everyone keep breathing. You got born into the perfect family because before you got on this planet, your soul knew that it would be building bridges for people who felt alone and felt like they had a heart's calling, but they didn't know how to get back to it. You were born for all the people that feel like much like me, very much like me, for the people that feel like very few people have understood them, and that the resort, even more so for the people who are struggling to find the resources to be able to, they're asking the question, who am I and why am I here? And no one is able to answer that. And why did this happen to me? And, what's stopping me from doing that? And what you did is you went into a family that wasn't going to give you a lot of metaphysical or wise answers, big picture metaphysical answers to very deep questions that you had. Now, the cool thing about them not being able to answer the questions is by default, you had to seek elsewhere. If they had answers that were pseudo okay, you might have just accepted those answers as like, okay, like, all right. And then you wouldn't have gone outside seeking, and you knew you were on your own because something happened to you. I'm looking at 11 years old and a couple of other times, of course, but around 11, 12, it doesn't necessarily have to be stressful, but I'm just looking at different aspects of your life and a different
Well, I think
yeah, go
I
ahead.
think I started having ADHD when I was 10. That's when I felt
There
like,
you
'cause
go.
I felt like I started reading slower when I was
You didn't have
10.
you didn't have ADHD or Asperger's. Can I share with you what happened? Because I'm looking at your hologram. It's the coolest thing. Lindsay. You have the coolest hologram. Do you know why? I don't know what happened when maybe your hormones were starting to kick in. It's the weirdest thing though. You started, because of your questions and because of unplugging from the world around you, realizing that people can't give you your answers, you started looking elsewhere even then. And you started getting curious, right? And the funny thing is, girlfriend, that from your curiosity, your higher levels and your guides and angels started to bring through your superpowers. And those superpowers had you be able to perceive the world differently. You started taking in information really fast and being really intuitive. Do you feel what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Like I'm also seeing a lot of angel numbers recently. Like I'm seeing angel numbers all the time, like on the laptop.
Yeah, it's validation that the people that you're meeting now and the teachers that you're meeting now and the places that you're going now, you're right on track, girlfriend. So you started to become very intuitive and very all these things. And it's not Asperger's or ADD. It literally is someone that has such an awareness and an intuition about life around them that literally hardly anyone when you were younger could even teach to you, because they couldn't understand how you operated, because you were taking in way more information than literally, they were able to understand. And so there was very much about you evolving into your fully instinctual superpowered state. And so you won't find very many people your age the same as you, but I want you to know so Winsy, this is really cool. You are there's nothing wrong with you at all. You're actually standing on the other side of the bridge, like what's possible side of the bridge, calling all the people that want to know what's possible over. You're saying, come on, I got stuff to show you. And I would say that's true of a whole bunch of people on this page right now. It's not just you, but you needed to ask that question so we could speak to everybody about it. And I have so much more to share with you. Holy crow, Wendy.
I'm digging what you're saying. Like I'm feeling like I'm awakening, and I do really feel like that was a misdiagnosis. Like I think maybe HD, maybe that was right, but I feel like the Asperger's syndrome, okay, that contrasts to my MBTI. I resonate with the INFJ thing more. And I just feel like because I'm introvert, I'm introverted.
Wait. Can we talk about ADD just as the final, the final little piece for you? Some people authentically have ADD. The only thing with you.
It's ADHD. So there's the hyperactivity. I think I have too many thoughts.
No, I am going to see. Yes, sure. Too many thoughts for the current operating system that you're in. But in fact, if you could actually have all of those thoughts, have them all be inspired and be able to instantly channel your energy towards the right ones, like a lot of the thoughts you have are amazing ideas. And so these amazing ideas that you have aren't wrong. However, if you could actually navigate that in a way that was more, it's not productive. Structured, more productive. Like there is an operating system for that. So, and in the meantime, for anyone that feels the way Winsy does, I am going to recommend Winsy. Have you watched the TED Talk about multi-potentialites?
Oh, no.
Okay, so multi-potentialites, I will post it on our Facebook page too. Go and watch the TED Talk about multi-potentialites. But you have this extraordinary way of navigating life. And it's not that you should be different than you are. It's more that humanity hasn't caught up to the operating system that allows people who think as quickly as you do to be able to function fully, because what's being asked for of humanity requires people that think as fast as you do.
Oh,
but we don't
I
yet.
didn't know I didn't know I was fast. Like, I think I've been seen as slow because
No,
I'm introspective. So,
you get
or maybe I just
overwhelmed.
see a lot of patterns.
Well, you get overwhelmed by it, right? So there's a way of processing it so that it doesn't all overwhelm you, which we can, maybe on our the 15th is the next time we're doing one of these workshops. So come back and maybe ask that question. How actually can we learn to have all these ideas and thoughts? And yes, I would say that you having independence in your head disease, I would say yours is more about being in your head too much. And that what we want to do is find an expression for that so that you can be fully present without being distracted. So that is true. But that's just something that can be learned. Okay? There's nothing wrong with you. I'm looking at your hologram. You're friggin' awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Expansive, delicious, juicy, filled with ideas, just totally friggin' awesome.
I just need to channel it in a more structured way, I guess.
That's okay.
Yeah, too
but
many thoughts.
yeah, well, and that can
That's-
be learned. Again, there are people that teach that, including me, so that we can actually show you the thriving operating system. So you can have all those ideas, but be very focused at the same time.
Mhm.
I'm going to share with you very quickly, just take 30 seconds. One of my guides said to me once when I was having all these thoughts and all these, and I was being very internal and trying to figure things out myself because I was taught to be very independent because that's what happened in my household. And they said, okay, so Jennifer, they asked me the question, Jennifer, do you think that you could be on a webinar while being present to your husband cooking dinner right now, while looking at the mountains outside, while having, 30, 40, 50, however many people ended up being here, people on the line and being present to each of their energy, while having the technology, while knowing that Diana's there, while having JC here, while. Is it possible to be present to all of that at once? And the whales in the ocean and all of that. And my answer was, yeah, I can. And then they said, could you imagine that there are things that light up and come forward and all of that, and then come back? They go forward, they light up. And as I realized that they're actually, when we start judging ourselves that we think too much, what happens is you can't discern anything because as soon as you judge yourself, you get out of flow. But when they asked me that question, I started being inquisitive. I started asking the question, oh, what is lighting up right now of all the thoughts? Well, that's the one there is to think about. And instead of the judgment, I started being in the inquiry. I started being like a child, curious on the adventure of how my amazing brain works. And you have an amazing brain.
Oh, thanks.
But when we go in there alone, it gets a little bit dangerous. So, so my dear.
Do you think my ADHD Asperger's syndrome, you don't really believe in those? It's just my hologram.
From the three-dimensional world, they would diagnose it as that, but it's because
3D
they don't.
world.
Yeah, but from greater wisdom's view, you're basically on the leading edge. And because they don't understand it, they're calling it a disorder. But once you understand it, you just realize it's about evolving operating systems and you're just on the other side of the bridge. You just need to know the operating system for that kind of a brain. There's nothing wrong with you.
Yeah, I think I should learn more about spirituality because I think psychology it's helpful to a certain extent.
Yes.
But I think spirituality, metaphysics goes beyond.
Well, I got to tell you, sister, I hope you come and play in Agents of Awakening because man, oh man, will we have fun with you. There'll be lots of great conversations and lots of great questions from you, I bet. So, everybody.
One more thing is, I also feel like I was born into a culture that is also like very practical, not very spiritual. So
yes,
I fit in, I have an urge to move country.
Yes.
But I'm at the same time, I'm kind of torn between whether I should move or not. And
Well,
my astrologer, because I still live in China, so he says something about like, I'm more of a Taoist, but Chinese culture is mostly Confucian. It's about all that practicality and structure and order, and
so
maybe I
one
should bring
of,
more Taoism.
yes. So one of the things that we're going to do that I can see that is going to take you out of thinking mode is to get you into how to interpret your instincts and intuition mode and how to know what's lighting up. That lighting up thing that I showed you is a big deal. What ultimately where we want to get is we want to be our own gurus, right? We want to be able to go direct with all of consciousness and be contributed to by others, but ultimately it all comes back to our own instinct and intuition. So with you, what I can see is there's a huge opportunity to embody your superpowers, to be able to just know when someone is when you or someone else is telling you truth or not. I've seen you do it with me because you were nodding a lot as I was talking about certain things. And it's
Wow.
like, yeah, that's it. That's a cellular yes. So
Mhm.
what we want to do, what we're doing in Ages of Awakening is teaching people how to actually embody that cellular yes, how to know what the cellular yes, so that you can live in that degree of flow. So I would much rather not give you the answer to move. You're not actually, I'm going to tell you what we talked about earlier. You have to be, everything has to be aligned and be a vibrational match, and you be a frequency match for the place that you would be headed, the place that you would be going or moving. And it just isn't there yet. So it's about getting your frequency to the place of what you're seeking to feel rather than the place you want to be. Don't look for the place, look for how you want to feel. Okay. So, and I want to thank you, my dear. That's all we have time for, but I want to thank you so much. Oh my God, Winsy, thank you. So cool. Yay. How many
I
people
was
know
surprised.
how many people know Winsy is on their team? Yay. So sweet. Yeah, don't be surprised. You know, I'm happy you put your hand up. So good for you for following your intuition and doing that. I appreciate you. Really cool. Mwah, for that. So everybody. All right. Thank you everyone I know a lot of you stayed a long time, but I hope that you heard some things that were helpful. I hope that you got the experience of the Heaven on Earth construction crew, which is all of you. We're the ones being called. I hope you got a sense of Agents of Awakening. And gosh, this is like a part of me that's like, can we just all move over to that? Let's just all go there. So by July the 21st is when we're stopping founding membership. It really is an amazing deal. It's like saving $5,000 in a year. So please make sure you go and check it out. It's it's agentsofawakening.com. Go and have a look at it. But let your cells tell you, going back to what I said to Winsy, let your cells actually tell you. What I will do based on today is I think I'm going to create a document that I'll put in Agents of Awakening about the difference between surviving better, and thriving, so you know what you're aiming for. The other thing that we'll do, like I said, in Agents of Awakening, we're going to talk about something Winsy said around the mind being busy and having independence disease of the mind, which is like thinking a lot, being mental a lot, going in your head a lot. So we'll talk about that, which is connected to the adrenals. Okay. And we're definitely going to have that special 1-day webinar just for people who are founding members. So I cannot wait to commune with you. I cannot wait to talk to my one-on-one person. Yay. Carolyn Clemens. Yay. And we'll schedule something. And I would love for you guys to type in your favorite part of today before we go here. What's your favorite thing that you heard? What was like the kicker? What was like the, oh my God, when you said that, or, oh my gosh, when so-and-so asked that question, or, oh my gosh, the perception change on, or the perception shift on this. What was good? Oh yeah, Barbara, divine expectation. That was awesome because I actually never shared that with anyone ever. So that was a real testament to the yumminess of this group. Yes. Embrace the tree shaker. Yeah, Barb, receptivity is everything. Carrying. Yes. Listen, you guys, one last thing to say about carrying. Remember this. This is the place we want to get to. We want to get to an embodied state around this perception and carrying. If God meant you to actually run someone else's life on your timing, your spirit would be pouring through their body. And your spirit is not pouring through their body. Your spirit is pouring through your body. Also, when you tell people that they're not doing it right, or sorry, when you tell people that they should do this, 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 and this because you're uncomfortable, what they hear is, I'm doing it wrong. See, I can't get it anyways. And you just disconnected them from the very wisdom that would have them thrive in the first place. So carrying is so ineffective if you love someone. Yep, seeing myself in the other people sharing. I know, Katerina, isn't it amazing? So Carol, transcending drama, play with everything and move through challenges that present exactly. Yes, yes, yes. Kelly, cool. Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you for sharing. So glad. Can't wait to see a lot of you in Agents of Awakening, and just so glad we get to do these workshops regardless. And we'll see you again, some of you on Facebook for tomorrow's workshop on facebook.com/Wide Awakening. Again, giving you another experience of what we're doing in Agents of Awakening there. And our next workshop is the 15th. Okay. That one is called Awaken, and it's about the foundations of true awakening, not like, the stuff that gets talked about out there that's kind of fluffy. I'm actually talking about what happens metaphysically and in physics when you actually awaken, and what has to happen in order for you to up level to walk around in default thriving. So that's what we're talking about. Cool, right? So, yeah. So that's what we're going to do it next time. Okay. So love you guys. Thank you so much. Big hugs. Unmute yourself and just do a little shout out. Just unmute yourself and say bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
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 Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Here. Bye, Sandra. Bye, Kay. Bye, Wincy.
Thank you.